Los Angeles, California, Long Beach Arena, summer of 1967. Wednesday evening. The clock above the entrance showed 7:47 p.m. Inside the arena, the air felt thick and heavy. August heat had turned the massive concrete building into something that felt almost like a furnace. There was no air conditioning, only old ceiling fans spinning slowly, barely moving the hot air. Rows of metal folding chairs filled the floor of the arena. More than 1,000 people were sitting there. Some were martial artists, some were instructors, others were simply spectators who loved the mystery and power of combat. But none of them knew something important. In just a few minutes, something would happen that many people would later call impossible. Something that would quietly change the way martial artists thought about fighting. And strangely enough, almost nobody would talk about it for years. Not because they forgot, but because they were told not to. Near the side of the stage stood a massive man warming up quietly. His name was Marcus Stone Fist Walker, 6 feet 7 inches tall, almost 120 kilograms of solid muscle. His shoulders looked wide enough to fill a doorway. His arms were thick and scarred from years of brutal fighting. But the most frightening part of his body was his hands. His knuckles were swollen, crooked, misshapen. Each one told a story of a fight that had already happened. Some people called them the hands of a warrior. Others called them something simpler: weapons. Marcus had not come to Long Beach to show tradition. He had come to show power. He believed martial arts had become too soft, too ceremonial, too polite. And tonight, he planned to prove it. The lights inside the arena dimmed slightly. The quiet hum of conversation slowly disappeared. A gray-haired organizer stepped onto the wooden platform in the center of the arena. He held a microphone in one hand. "Ladies and gentlemen," his voice echoed through the speakers. "Tonight we conclude the final day of the International Karate Championship." Polite applause followed. "Before we close the event, we have one final demonstration." He paused. "And our guest tonight is a man known in underground fighting circles. Across the southern United States." The crowd leaned forward slightly. "Please welcome Marcus Stone Fist Walker." The applause became louder. Then the giant walked onto the stage. The wooden boards under his feet creaked slightly. Immediately, people noticed something unusual. Marcus did not wear a GI. No belt. No symbol of rank. Just black pants and a sleeveless shirt. He didn't bow. He didn't smile. He simply stood there, perfectly still, watching the audience. The organizer continued speaking. "Mr. Walker will demonstrate practical, striking power in real combat application." Marcus suddenly reached forward and gently took the microphone from the organizer's hand. The older man blinked in surprise. Marcus looked out across the crowd. Then he spoke. His voice was deep and calm. "I appreciate the invitation." Silence filled the arena. "But I didn't come here to perform a show." People shifted in their seats. Marcus continued, "I came here to say something most fighters are afraid to admit." His eyes slowly scanned the rows of black belts sitting in front. For years, martial artists talk about discipline, tradition, and philosophy. He paused. But when a real fight begins, his massive fist slowly closed. Most of that disappears. A murmur spread across the crowd. Some people nodded. Others looked offended. Marcus continued speaking. "I grew up in the streets of New Orleans. No instructors, no tournaments, just survival." He lifted his hand, and the scarred knuckles glowed under the yellow arena lights. "I learned something simple." He paused again. "Power ends fights." Someone from the audience shouted back, "What about skill?" Marcus turned his head toward the voice. "Skill matters," he shrugged. "But when skill meets overwhelming force," a small smile appeared on his face. "Physics usually wins." Now the room felt different. This was no longer entertainment. This was a challenge. Marcus walked toward the edge of the stage. Two assistants rolled out a heavy wooden frame. Stacked on it were thick boards used for breaking demonstrations. Marcus touched one. 2 inches thick. He stepped back. The crowd leaned forward. His body turned. His hips rotated. Then, crack. The first board shattered. Crack. The second exploded into splinters. Crack, crack, crack. 5 boards broke instantly. The sixth cracked loudly before his fist finally stopped. The arena erupted with applause. It was impressive. Very impressive. But Marcus looked almost bored. He glanced at the broken wood, then back at the crowd. "Breaking boards," he said quietly, "is easy." The applause slowly faded. "Boards don't fight back." Then he spread his arms wide and said something that immediately froze the entire arena. "Anyone here?" His voice echoed across the room. "Any style, any rank, come up here and hit me." Silence. "I won't block. I won't dodge. I'll just stand here." Then he tapped his chest. "If your strike makes me step back," he paused, "I will bow to your style." Hundreds of martial artists sat frozen in their chairs. Seconds passed. 10 seconds. 20 seconds. No one moved. Marcus slowly nodded. "That's what I thought." He turned away, and just then, a calm voice spoke from the back rows. "I'll try." Every head turned. A small man slowly stood up. Slim, quiet, wearing a dark jacket. At first glance, he looked like just another spectator. But when he stepped into the light, someone near the front row suddenly whispered. Then another voice spoke louder. "Wait, that's..." A third man finished the sentence. "That's Bruce Lee." And suddenly, the entire arena went silent, because the small man walking calmly toward the stage was not just a spectator. He was the man many fighters were already calling. The drag in the arena suddenly felt different. Moments earlier, the room had been full of whispers, doubts, quiet laughter. But now, silence spread across the hall like a wave. All eyes were fixed on one man walking slowly toward the stage. The man people had just recognized as Bruce Lee. He did not rush. He did not look excited. He simply walked forward with a calm, almost relaxed rhythm. His footsteps were quiet against the concrete floor. Step, step, step. From far away, he looked small. Very small compared to the giant waiting on the stage. But there was something strange about the way he moved. It was smooth, effortless, like someone who had perfect control over every part of his body. People sitting near the aisle leaned aside to watch him pass. Some whispered, "Is that really him? The Kung Fu guy? I heard he's insanely fast. I heard he fought someone in San Francisco and ended the fight in seconds." Others looked skeptical. From a distance, he didn't look like a fighter at all. He wore simple dark pants, a plain shirt, and a sports jacket. No martial arts uniform, no belt, nothing that showed rank or status, just a calm expression. Up on the stage, the giant fighter watched him approach. Marcus' stone fist, Walker folded his arms across his chest. From where he stood, the approaching man looked almost fragile. Marcus had faced dangerous fighters before. Professional boxers, kickboxers, street brawlers who fought like wild animals. But this man? This one looked like a college student. Marcus almost laughed. When the smaller man reached the wooden steps leading to the platform, he stopped for a moment. He calmly removed his jacket, then he handed it to a man standing nearby. Underneath, he wore a short-sleeved black shirt. His arms were lean, defined, but far from large. The contrast between the two men became obvious instantly. Marcus looked like a mountain. The smaller man looked like a shadow. The audience murmured again. One man whispered loudly enough for others to hear. "This is going to be ugly." Another shook his head. He shouldn't have come up, but the small man climbed the steps anyway. Slowly, calmly, he stepped onto the platform. The wood creaked under Marcus's weight, but remained silent under his own. Marcus looked down at him. Up close, the size difference looked even more extreme. Marcus stood nearly 2 heads taller. His shoulders were almost twice as wide. For a moment, neither of them spoke. They simply looked at each other. Marcus expected to see fear, or hesitation, or at least a hint of doubt. But instead, he saw something unusual. Calm. Complete calm. The smaller man's eyes were steady, focused, almost curious. Marcus tilted his head slightly. "So you're the one who wants to try?" The smaller man nodded once. "Yes." His voice was quiet, but clear. Marcus raised an eyebrow. "What style do you practice?" The answer came without hesitation. "I teach a method." Marcus frowned slightly. "A method?" "Yes. Some people call it Jeet Kune Do." Marcus had never heard the name before. He shrugged. "Kung Fu?" The small man smiled faintly. "Partly." Marcus crossed his arms again. "You realize what you're asking for?" "I do." "You want to hit me?" "Yes." Marcus gestured toward his chest. "Then go ahead." He took a step closer. The two men now stood less than 2 meters apart. "Remember the rules," Marcus said. "I won't block. I won't move. If you can make me take 1 step back," he paused, "I'll bow to you." The arena felt completely frozen. More than 1,000 people watched without breathing. Some leaned forward in their chairs. Others stood up. No one wanted to miss what might happen next. The small man studied Marcus quietly. His eyes moved over the giant's body. Chest, shoulders, arms, balance, distance. Marcus noticed the way he was looking. Not like a spectator, like a scientist studying a problem. Marcus smirked. "You planning your miracle?" The small man did not answer. Instead, he stepped slightly closer. Now they were barely a meter apart. The audience could hear someone's watch ticking somewhere in the crowd. Marcus lowered his arms. "Whenever you're ready." For a moment, nothing happened. The smaller man stood perfectly still. His hands relaxed, his breathing slow. Then suddenly, he moved. Not with a big wind-up, not with a dramatic motion. Just a short, explosive movement. His fist shot forward. Fast. So fast that many people in the audience didn't even see the punch. They only heard the sound. Thud, like a heavy door slamming. Marcus's eyes widened. For a split second, his body froze. Then something impossible happened. The giant moved. Not a step, not even a stumble. His entire body lifted off the ground. Gasps erupted across the arena. Marcus flew backward, nearly 2 meters. He crashed into the wooden frame behind him. Boards exploded into splinters. The giant hit the platform floor with a thunderous impact. The stage shook. For a moment, nobody spoke. Nobody moved. Even the ceiling fans seemed too loud. Marcus lay on the floor, staring upward, his chest rising and falling, his mind struggling to understand what had just happened. Across the stage, the small man still stood exactly where he had been. His arm slowly returned to his side, his expression unchanged. Calm, quiet, almost peaceful. And suddenly, every person in the arena realized something. They had just witnessed something extraordinary, something almost impossible, something that only one man in the world was famous for doing. The man now standing silently on the stage. Bruce Lee, the dragon. Marcus lay on the platform floor, chest heaving, mind spinning. Never in his life had someone moved like that. Never had a human being so small. So light hit him with such precision and force. He blinked slowly, then he pushed himself up. The audience held its breath. Marcus was massive. He could crush bones with a single punch. He had fought champions, underground beasts, men who had no fear. But this was different. He shook his head slightly as if to clear the disbelief. Then he stood. Step by step, Marcus rose to his full height. The crowd was silent. No applause, only murmurs of shock. The small man Bruce remained motionless, calm, focused. Marcus's eyes, once full of arrogance and confidence, now showed respect. Just a hint. "You," Marcus began, his voice heavy. "You hit me harder than anyone I've ever fought." Bruce nodded quietly. Strength without control is just violence. Marcus looked around the arena, then back at Bruce, his fists clenched instinctively, a habit drilled into him by decades of street fights. But, Marcus continued, I've never been knocked down like that. Bruce took a step closer, and that's why you must understand. He paused, letting the words sink into the heavy August air. Martial arts are not about winning fights. They're about understanding energy, timing, leverage, and control. You have power, but you must learn awareness. Power alone is dangerous. Marcus stared at him. Slowly, he realized Bruce wasn't lecturing. He was showing a lesson in life and combat, not just skill. The giant let out a deep breath. Then a small, almost reluctant smile appeared on his face. I see that now, Marcus said. For the first time, I see that raw strength isn't everything. Bruce nodded. No words were needed after that. The audience, meanwhile, had begun to react. At first, cautious applause. Then louder, whispers spread. The small man, the dragon. He just taught a giant a lesson. Did he just do that without throwing a full punch? Size doesn't matter. Yes, size didn't matter. Not when technique, awareness, and timing were so precise that even the biggest man could be humbled. Marcus extended his hand. Not as a challenge, not as arrogance, but with genuine respect. Bruce shook it. The crowd erupted. Some people clapped. Some cheered. Some even cried, men who had trained for decades and suddenly realized the depth of what they had witnessed. Marcus stepped back. His shoulders relaxed for the first time in the night. This is real martial arts, he said softly. Not just ceremony. Not just forms. Not just boards and belts. This is truth. Bruce smiled faintly. The fight is not only about hitting or defending. It is about understanding, anticipating, adapting. Marcus nodded. Then, I have much to learn. Bruce shook his head. We all do. We never stop learning. But today you learned more than most will in a lifetime. The arena felt electric. Journalists, photographers, tournament organizers, no one moved. Everyone realized that what they had seen could not be forgotten. Marcus stepped off the platform slowly. Not defeated, not humiliated, but enlightened. Bruce returned to his seat in the third row, calm as ever, silent as ever. Yet the lesson had been delivered. The whispers grew into stories. The stories spread into legends. That night, the legend of the dragon was reaffirmed. Not because of strength, not because of size, not because of boards broken or punches thrown, but because of skill, awareness, and the courage to demonstrate truth. And Marcus? Marcus became a changed man. He had faced the impossible, and he had learned humility. A giant had been humbled by a man no bigger than a shadow. But in that shadow, a dragon's heart burned. The crowd left the arena in awe, carrying stories that would echo through the martial arts community for decades. From that day on, students didn't just seek power, they sought understanding. And the legend grew. The night a giant challenged a small man, and the small man moved like a dragon, the arena had gone silent. Even the echoes of Bruce Lee's explosive strike seemed to linger in the warm, August air. Hundreds of spectators were frozen, their eyes wide, mouths slightly open, unable to comprehend what they had just witnessed. Marcus Williams, the Bonebreaker, the man who had dominated every fight he'd ever entered, stood on the floor, his chest rising and falling rapidly. The muscles that had once radiated sheer power now trembled with something, unfamiliar respect and awe. He looked at Bruce, small, calm, unassuming. The silence between them was heavier than any roar of a crowd. For the first time, Marcus realized that strength alone wasn't enough. Technique, timing, awareness, these were weapons just as lethal. Marcus lowered his shoulders. The tension in his body began to dissolve. He had always fought to survive, but Bruce had fought to teach. And in that fight, Marcus had learned a lesson no one else could give him. The crowd slowly started to clap. One hand, then another. The applause grew louder, hesitant at first, then fervent. Martial artists from every style, every country, every rank began to recognize the significance of what had occurred. The tournament organizer, a gray-haired man in his dark suit, stepped forward cautiously. "Marcus, you are all right?" he asked. Marcus nodded slowly. He said, his voice quieter than usual. "More than all right. I've learned more tonight than I ever thought I could." Bruce Lee, still calm, returned to his seat in the third row. He didn't raise his hands, didn't smile broadly, yet the aura around him said everything. He had come, he had demonstrated, and he had vanished without fanfare, but the lesson lingered. A young student, sitting near the front, whispered to his companion, "Did you see that? He didn't just fight. He taught." Another voice answered, "Odd, yes. A small man, but his presence. It's like a dragon." The story of that night spread like wildfire. Martial arts schools across the country debated, analyzed, and whispered about the event. Some tried to replicate the demonstration, but none could match the precision, the calm, the raw awareness Bruce had shown. Marcus, meanwhile, found himself in a rare state of introspection. He had always measured his worth by his victories, by his ability to dominate and intimidate. But now he realized that there was more. There was understanding. There was mind over muscle, skill over sheer force, precision over pride. Over the coming months, Marcus began to change. He returned to his training, not to prove strength, but to understand technique. He studied, watched, learned from every style he could find, including Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do. His underground fights continued, but now they were different. He no longer sought to crush merely with power. He sought efficiency, timing, strategy, and those who fought him realized they were facing not just a giant, but a man transformed. Bruce Lee, on the other hand, continued his journey. He never sought fame from that demonstration. To him, it was never about the crowd. It was about truth in martial arts. Yet the legend of that night persisted. Martial artists who had witnessed the event began to spread the story quietly. A giant challenged a man from the audience, they said, and he learned that size doesn't matter. Skill, timing, and awareness do. Years later, when Marcus reflected on that night, he called it the turning point of his life. Not a victory, not a defeat, but a moment of awakening. It reminded him that the essence of martial arts was never in belts, trophies, or applause. It was in understanding, respect, and the courage to face the unknown. And Bruce Lee? He remained the dragon, the quiet force that moved through the world unnoticed but left an indelible mark wherever he went. The night the giant faced the dragon would never be forgotten. A story whispered in dojos, told from teacher to student. A legend that reminded everyone. Strength is meaningless without understanding. Size is irrelevant when met with skill. And even the mightiest can be humbled by the calm heart of a dragon. Years passed, yet the legend of that night at Long Beach Arena continued to echo through martial arts communities across the world. Students, teachers, and masters retold the story in whispers, in classrooms and training halls, always ending with the same lesson. Size is nothing. Awareness is everything. Skill trumps brute force. Marcus Williams, once feared and untouchable, had transformed. His street-hardened aggression had been tempered by the calm, precise methods Bruce Lee had demonstrated that fateful evening. Marcus still fought, still trained, but now he carried the wisdom of experience, not just strength. He traveled to seminars, shared knowledge with younger fighters, and spoke of something far more important than winning, understanding. He became a mentor, a bridge between the raw, chaotic world of underground fighting and the disciplined realm of traditional martial arts. Bruce Lee continued his journey, shaping his philosophy, refining Jeet Kune Do, and inspiring countless students worldwide. He never sought recognition for that singular demonstration, but for those who had witnessed it, Bruce's actions spoke louder than any trophies, awards, or headlines. The story became a touchstone, a moral for a martial artist everywhere. Technique without understanding is empty. Strength without control is dangerous. And the true essence of a warrior is not measured by how hard they can hit, but by how wisely they fight and what they teach others. In some dojos, Instructors hung portraits of Bruce Lee and Marcus Williams side by side, not to glorify themselves, but to remind students that respect, awareness, and mastery of self matter more than dominance. The Long Beach Arena itself became a place of pilgrimage. Though the original floorboards and stands were long gone, people still told the story of the night a giant challenged a small man from the audience, and what followed. And in the quiet corners of martial arts schools, when a student doubted their abilities, an instructor would smile and say, "Remember the giant who learned humility. Remember the dragon who taught power with calm. Train, learn, but never forget true mastery is more than strength. It is awareness, it is timing, it is control." Marcus often reflected on that night in solitude. The lesson had stayed with him not just in his fighting, but in life. Challenges, he realized, were not about crushing the obstacles, but understanding them, moving with clarity, and striking with precision when the moment was right. Bruce Lee's philosophy echoed endlessly: absorb what is useful, discard what is not, add what is uniquely your own, and Marcus had done exactly that. He had taken the chaos of his early life, the raw power of his street fighting, and the wisdom of that legendary demonstration, to become more than a fighter. He became a symbol of transformation, a living legend. The crowd, the arena, the silent witnesses, the whispers, all of it had faded from public record, yet the story endured. A tale of challenge, humility, and awakening. A reminder that even the mightiest can be humbled, and the smallest can leave an eternal impact. In the end, it was never about the boards, the fists, or the fights. It was about the heart of martial arts. The true dragon was not the man who struck the hardest, nor the one who stood tallest. It was the one who fought with wisdom, understanding, and clarity, a lesson that continues to inspire warriors everywhere. Please my channel, subscribe and follow. Thank you, my all friends.